Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishma, Simi, Merosi, Ruspas Mordechai. I think I just heard somebody scream, from behind the door. Rabbi Isai, because I have a flight in a few hours, and Mark Ashkenazi is on the computer remotely, but he's on a plane. So I'm going to try to be mekatzer as much as I can. Had some nice emails. We'll have to read them tomorrow. Meanwhile, I'll just show you a picture of Leiba Tzala member Shuli Streicher doing the daf after spending the night taking calls. That's unbelievable. Tired like anything, but doing the daf. Let's see what else I could just show you real quickly. Here's another one. Yuda Mandel. In the olden days, we used to cover this with shmatis. This meaning this, you can't even say the word. This screen, when renting a vacation home. Nowadays, we are maladin itzoitzis. We use it for shiurim. My kids watch the entire shiur straight. It has a picture, so I'll read it. Eli Rav Stefansky. It literally lifted my spirits when I received the attached picture. I recently gave birth to a baby with a birth defect, and my husband went to our Rebbe's cave to daven Yoel Teitelbaum, the Satmerov, Satmerebe, Rabbi Yoelish. To surprise, met none other than you. He approached you to let you know how much his wife enjoys your shir, LOL. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. May you always have lots of atzlocha, siyat d'shmaya nachas. So, if I recall correctly, I wasn't so in the mood of rolling down the window. It was a long night, saying hello to many, many people, and it was very, very cold outside. Okay, one more person, one more this. You never know when you give that chizuk to the person. If that's what gave him chizuk, so it was my pleasure, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should continue giving you chizuk and koiches to deal with everything you're dealing with, and your tefillah should be niskabel. Okay, I'm gonna skip forward. The truth is, let's try something new. We can't really do this because we have the daf one. The official edition MDY Shas, the Masechta by the Iranian Levi families, the Perek, anonymous, Lilnishma Simi Mirosi Elisheva Bas Reb Baruch Oleh Shalom. First day of Chanukah Tashim Pei Aleph. Anonymous, in memory of Yitzchok ben Chaim David and Slava Mindel Bas Feivel. The daf is by anonymous. Now I'm going to ask the editors to put in everything else from the Masechta sponsors. The Masechta sponsored by David Sal, dedicated in memory of Avi Meir of Shmuel Baruch Ben. The Masechta sponsored by Joel Gedalis, Lina Shmas, my father, Jack Gedalis, anonymous, Aslach Baruch, the Gashmis, the Palachik family foundation, Zech Nishmas, Rav Agoin, Shlomo Palachik, the Meshech Tzariyiluk. The Masechta sponsors: anonymous Refuah Shlema L'Moshe Ben Zaha, anonymous for complete Refuah Shlema, and Arichas Yom to Leah Bas Esther Amei, and Yisrael and Malki. Totally Torah's Picha Malfi Zav Chesed. We are so proud of you, Yaakov Mordechai. Keep steiging. Sending Gross and family, Canvey Island, UK, and Otter Rebellion, changed my meaning of life. Plenty of money, Yossi Mark and Benny, and all those in Batzarch MDY, Akash Baruch Hu Shalom Schara. Only Akash Baruch Hu can pay back. You can't get a salary that pays anywhere near the amount of work that these guys do. Ariel Simon Refuah Shlema of Imari Baruch B'Miriam, and another monthly sponsor. These are all monthly sponsors, 10 in a row. Jamie Azulai, Refuah Shlema, Esther Bas Luna. Anonymous Refuah Shlema, Naftali Herzben, Henry Leah, Hidden Tzaddik in our generation. Anonymous in memory of Mazal, Bat Leah, Basanada, and Iskia. Anonymous, the schus, a verdict that is good and open and revealed way for Yosef Mordechai ben Bat Leah, Yehudis and Yehuda Lewis as a schus for everyone in need of Shidduch, Omei, and anonymous for the merit of Michal ben Yisrael Yosef, success and blessing in all areas of life. Sprinting out and gross in the Ishmas, Shemzam ben Yitzchak, Isaac ben Yoman, Isaac ben Tzvi Hirsch, Koyin, for Shlema Yonatan Edom, Avashev Bracha. Anonymous for the merit of Refuah Shlema from Malka Bas Chaya. Centers.com helping you in David Tzibur with Papa Minyanim anywhere worldwide. The daily sponsors: Eli Weiss, Lili Nishmas, my grandfather, Devnoyach ben Rebaruch Hakoyin is the Shabbos Shanav Aliyah. Anonymous in honor of Adam Seth and his commitment to MDY day in, day out. Yoni Weiss, Lili Nishmas Zev ben Shmuel Elimelech. To our dear editors, I think it's a good idea just to do this every day. We'll do it once a month. We'll do all the Masechta sponsors. We only have to do once in the beginning of Masechta. Like this, we could cut out very valuable time from the shiur itself and from the people sitting in the shiur. And people, they don't have to go through all the sponsors every day. We'll just do all the new ones. Daily sponsors: Eugene Weisberg, Shabbos Daf Beis. I remember him. Lunishmas, Avi Moiri, Chaim Yitzchak ben Meir Halevi, Zevi and Devorah Man, with gratitude to Hashem for the birth of our baby boy, Mazel Tov, Yecheskel Isengard, right? To have a baby boy that's not a balmum, that doesn't have a birth effect, like we just saw the other email. It's such a bracha from Hakadosh Baruch Hu, all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. Can't say it enough. Yecheskel Isengard, bracha b'atzlacha to everybody learning Daf Yomi. MDY Art. Yosef ben Chaya Sar for Parnasa Berevach, Refuah Shlema, Yonatan Eitan ben Beshav Bracha, Refuah Shlema. Mordechai ben Esther, Refuah Hayel Daniel Zev ben Hayel Esther. Mark, are you able to put yourself on the screen? I wonder if I could do this. Anyway, that was not a good idea, maybe. Just going to send it to you somehow. Oh, you're on the screen. Good. So I didn't have to do that. Fine. That was just my snipping tool. Don't worry about that. Oy let me get rid of this real quick. Okay, good. But boys, here we go. We're holding Daf Tezayin Amud Aleph on top. Brand new Mishnah, brand new Sugya. As I like to say, a brand new Masechta. It's all brand new for right now. Says, it doesn't matter if the Masechta started off Beis, it starts at Daf Tezayin, it's brand new. Pigel b'koimetz v'loi b'levaino. Let me just see. Oh. Now, we know, we're talking about Menachos here. You want to bring a flour carbon to the Rebbeinu Shleila. So the kohen sticks his hand in, takes 3 fingers worth, and that's called a kmitza. That will be in this bag right over here. In addition to that, most other menachos have something called levaina. They have these fragrances. In order for the kohen to eat the leftover flour, all this, the shirayim, here I wrote in nice letters over here, shirayim, you have to put these 2 guys on the mizbeach. Those are the 2 matirim. They allow you to eat the flour. Each one by itself is only 50%. You need to put both of them on. That's why when you're putting them onto the mizbeach, you must, and you want to be over on a big isser called pigel, and that is thinking that you're going to be eating the flour, the shirayim, in 3 days from now instead of today. You have to put both of these on the mizbeach. If you thought that only by one, that's a chatzi matir. It's only 50% of the 2. And according to Chachamim, that doesn't work. You have to have 100% of the matter. According to Rameir, chatzi matter works. That's, Rabbi say, here's a chiddush. That's only when you put it on the mizbeach. But what about when you're doing the kmitza? You go like this, and you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to be eating this tomorrow instead of today. That is a very strong pigul. You ignored the levaina, but guess what? When you go like this with your fingers, there is no levaina. Levaina, you don't go like this with your fingers. So in this avoida of going like this with your fingers, kmitza, you did 100% of that avoida with the wrong intent, with a bad intent, with the intent of eating it tomorrow. So it's great pigul. You're over the aveira of pigul. If you eat it, you get karas. You hear what's going on here? This, which we said that you need to do both, it's only on the haktara because both are possible by the haktara. But the kmitza, it doesn't apply to. So now let's see the Mishnah. Pigel b'koimetz v'loi b'levaina. So now, says Rashi, we're talking about the haktara, we're talking about the end part, where you need both the levaina and the kmitza, right over here. Rabbi Meir holds sounds complicated, but it's super easy. You could do pigul on 50% of the 2, so you don't have to have kavanah in both of these. Let's take out this note so you can see who it is. From Shalom Gombeck. Okay, oh, it says his phone number. I don't want to show his phone number. But now I have a nice pure bag of frankincense. Even though I have mine right over here, this is nicer for now. Big, nice chunky pieces. Chacham say you have to have kavana when you do both of these material. They admit, Chacham and Meir, that when there's no levina, such as when somebody sins and he has to bring a korban chatas, but instead of bringing a korban chatas, he doesn't have money, he brings flour. There's no levina. There's no levina. Then that is the matter. The whole thing, that's it. There's only one matter. It's only the flour. There's no levina. If he had a kavana while he's doing the kmitza, meaning that ktar, when you're putting it onto the mizbeach, then what are you putting on the mizbeach? Only flour. This doesn't exist. This levina. So Mamela, Shu Pigul, that's a real Pigul, V'chayomel, of course, seems like there's no Chiddush here. Shakoy Mitzvah Mata. Shochad Echad Menachos, we're talking about Shavuos again, and we had this yesterday. Now you have two lambs that you have to shecht in order to eat the two breads. So each one is a 50% again. Two of them are the full matter, they allow you to eat the bread. What happens if you shechted one, only one, in order to eat the two breads tomorrow, machshav of pigul, tomorrow's pigul? We're going to continue. We did it yesterday. Maybe it's a little bit slightly different video. While you were taking one of those spoons in your hand and being makter and putting it on his back, you thought a bad, terrible thought that you're going to eat the lechem upon him tomorrow, not today. All 12 breads. Of course, once again, Remeir holds half of the matter. One spoon is half of the two spoons. You need to put both spoons on the mizbeach in order to eat the lechem upon him. He only thought about it by one. That's half. That's enough to get kares. No, you have to put both spoons. You have to do both sheep. You have to shech both sheep. What if he thought to himself, not I'm not going to eat the two breads, I'm going to eat the sheep. Here's a beautiful chiddush, that when it comes to the sheep, each sheep is the matter of itself. You don't have to come on to the second sheep. The sheep itself is matter itself to be eaten. And Memela, when you had a machshava, you had a thought of pigul, you thought the entire machshava, the entire pigul. It wasn't a chatzi matter, it was a matter shalem, because for that animal, that is the only thing that you have to think about. Who pigul v'chaver kosher, and the second animal is not pigul at all. But what if you thought on animal A, that you're going to be eating animal B outside if it's a lot of time, in 2 days from now? Why? Because we have a concept. Ein mater mefagil mater. One item that allows you to eat something else cannot do pigul on another item that allows you to eat something else. Over here you have two sheep. Sheep A cannot make pigul to sheep B. Omar Rav, comes Rav and says, the whole machloikis is if he started off, let me see the shtika. I didn't notice it before. Oh, he has a zipper on his mouth. I didn't even notice it. I saw something, but I couldn't see it well. Now that it's close up, I see it. Shtika means he didn't think about any bad thoughts. His brain was clear, no bad thoughts, no bad intent. That's also good. So the machlokes says if he was quiet during the kmitza, but he had a bad thought by the levina. In other words, he started off good, ended off bad. But if he started off bad, then the bad continues throughout the rest of the avodah. So if he started off with the kmitza with a bad machshava, so that bad machshava of eating it outside of its allotted time in 3 days from now continues into the levina as well. So even though he didn't have a thought by the levina, but since the levina comes after the kmitza, why? The way it works is in all of Shas is we go with the initial thought. Whatever his initial thought is, we take that thought. We don't expect somebody to keep on thinking and thinking and thinking. Oh, I'm doing this for 3. I'm going to eat this in 3 days from now. 3 days from. He had one thought, I'm going to eat it from 3 days from now. So that initial thought continues nicely throughout the whole process. He thought it when he's doing the kmitza, when he put the kmitza onto the mizbeach. So that thought continues when he puts the levine on the mizbeach. But if he thought a good thought when he put the kmitza on the mizbeach, so that was a good thought. And then he had a bad thought. So we have a machlokes. According to Remeir, it's a half a matter, it's a pigul. According to Chacham, not. Great. Because whatever you do, you typically do based on the initial thought. I just want to pause there for a moment. Spoke about it in the past, but I think it's kedai, because I have new experiences with it. I want to share with the olam, even though it's embarrassing. I'll put myself out there. I'll be vulnerable for the olam. Many times in life, we do things, a lot of things that we do are not because we thought them through, it's just because we're used to doing them since we're younger. You do it because this is what I did when I was younger. I dive in a certain way, a certain speed. I skip through certain things in tefillah because this is what I did when I was 13. So that's what I do when I'm 53. But what's the pshat? Sit down and think for a second. Whoa. Are you supposed to skip over here? No, so don't skip. You're supposed to mumble it? No. You're supposed to this? You're supposed to space out? No. But this is what I did since I'm a little kid. It came into effect because, I know this and I think you all know this, but especially with me, we had a get together of the entire mishpach, all my siblings, all 7 of us. I'm the oldest of 7. And it's very rare that all of us, because my sister lives in Eretz Yisrael, and my other sister lives in Houston, and another sister lives in Atlanta. So to get everybody together is very difficult. So rarely happens, and all 7 of us together. And what I noticed is that many of us were acting with each other like we acted when we were 10 years old and 15 years old. And you think to yourself, you're 53 years old, you're 40, you're this, you're acting like a 2-year-old. You're not fighting, but the shtoch and the this and the certain attitude and the certain this is from when we were teenagers. I think it's normal, but we have to snap out of it. We have to rethink the hanaga. You know what I'm saying? It's in many things. It has, like, why do you speak like that to your wife? Because that's what I'm used to, and that's what I grew up with. Okay, so now it's time to reposition and rethink the thing. Why do you speak like that to your children? Because of this. Why do you punish them like this and do like that? Because that's what and then you take a step back and say, wait a minute, maybe that's not the right way. Maybe I could fix something. Maybe I could make it better. For instance, in learning, also, one last thing. People come with a certain attitude. I'm not good at Gemara. I hate Gemara. This Gemara. Why? Because since I'm a little kid, I hated it. Since I'm a little kid, I didn't know it. Since I'm a little kid, I didn't like it. I wasn't good at it. And then you stop for a second and you say, wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe now I have to rethink it. Maybe I have to reprocess this in my brain and see perhaps it's not exactly like I think. Shmuel says no difference if the machshava came first and then the shtika. Even in such a case, we don't say, oh, we take that bad intent and go throughout the whole process. Chacham will say, well, it was only for 50%. 50% doesn't count. It's not on the whole thing. So Rav sat down and he said this over. So Rav Acha asked him, it says, when is the real pigul? Different than our Mishnah, right? Because our Mishnah is talking about the Haktara, Rashi explained us. But the other 3 things, right? There's 4 avodas. There's kmitza, putting in a kli, walking it, and putting it on mizbeach. Our Mishnah is talking about putting it on mizbeach. Putting it on mizbeach applies to both the levina and the flour. So if that's the case, I need both of them, according to Chacham. But kmitza, kli, halacha, don't need, there's no levina in those. It doesn't involve the levina. So therefore it says over here, you could do pigul on one, just on the flour. Like our Mishnah, if you want to put it on the Mizbeach, now if we go back to this chart over here, so it's great. If you did Kmitza, in other words, put the koimetz, the flour, onto the Mizbeach without a bad intent. And the second thing you did was a bad intent. And check this out. The second line on the bottom, which we said, Rav said, there's no machlokes. It says mufurish, there is a machlokes. What does it say? If you thought about doing the kmitza, throwing it on the mizbeach, and you're going to eat the shirayim in 3 days from now, and you thought to yourself, nothing, blink by the levayna. We have a machlokes. According to Rav, everybody should agree that it's no good. Why? Because you started off bad, it continues being bad. What's the machlokes? Meyoim pigul, the chayim of kares. You get kares. The chacham ma'imrim. Ein by kares ashi yifaga b'chol hamater. Says mefurish the chacham argue on this. There is a machlokes. Says the Gemara. Eima ukfar nasan es alavayna b'shtika meikara. Take a good look at this chart because I'm about to switch it up. Well, the chart right now says there's a koimetz b'shtika. That's case number 1, and then it goes to machshava. Case number 2 is it starts with machshava and goes to shtika, but it starts with the kmitza. No. We have 2 cases. Case number 1 starts with the koimetz and your shtika, and case number 2 starts with the levayna and your shtika, and you finish off with machshava. That's why there's machlokes in this case, because we're not talking about the levayna b'shtika came after the koimetz b'machshava. It wasn't like this. It wasn't kmitza b'machshava and then levayna b'mashtika. It was rather like this. Levayna b'shtika and koimetz b'machshava. In other words, the 2 cases mimic each other, and that's the Gemara's question right away. Shtei tshuvas v'davar. What you're saying doesn't make any sense. Chada dahainu kamaisa. So now you tell me 2 exactly the same cases. You start good on the right leg, and you end it off on the left foot. You started with kmitza on the right, and you finished off with levayna on the left. You started with levayna on the right, and you finished off with the kmitza on the left. But the bottom line, it's the same idea. You started well, and you ended off poorly. What chiddush is that? If you go like this, we have 2 different cases. You started off great, and you ended off terrible. You started off terrible, and you ended off great. 2 different cases. Why would I tell you the same case, the same thing? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, there's a brisa, another one that we didn't see yet, but it says straight out in the brisa that first he did kmitza b'machshava, and achar kach, and only afterwards he did the levayna b'shtika. So why are you telling me that shtika came first? The levayna came first. It says first the kmitza b'machshava was first. When we're talking about 2 different human beings doing these 2 things, so typically speaking, when you start off on the left foot continues throughout the whole process. But that's only when it's 1 person. When you have 2 different people, you can't combine the 2 thoughts of 2 different people. Person number 1 started off terribly. Person number 2 ended off great. You can't say, oh, person number 2 ended off terribly because of person number 1. Toshma. So again, going back, Rav says is machlokes when he started off great and ended off terrible, but there's no machlokes if he started off bad. Tashma, let's see. So it's referring to the Zrikas Hadam, throwing the blood on different parts of the Beis Hamikdash on Yom Kippur. And according to one shita, you could do pigul by only part of the blood. What's the case? The inner Mizbeach. So here, just a quick chart. On Yom Kippur, we bring 2 korbanos. We bring more, but the ones we're talking about here is the bull and the goat. We know one goat goes flying off the mountain, the other goat is, we shecht it. So really, you take everything that we have, and you double it up. So there's 8 inside the Kodesh HaKodashim. You see he's standing between the 2 poles of the Ariel that you lift the Ariel with. You don't lift, you pretend you lift. That's called Ben Abadim. He stands right in between those 2 poles, and he does a bunch of, you see on the floor, he's doing zrikas. So that's a total 8 plus 8 equals 16. And then he goes to the Heichal. He goes outside of the Kodesh HaKodashim, goes into the Heichal, and he throws the blood towards the Paroiches, another 16, so total 32. And then we add another 11 that you put on the whole thing, 4 on the Kronos, 7 of that, it's 11. 11 plus 32 is 43. The Gemara is going to ask, according to one man, it's actually 47. Doesn't matter for now. When the Kohen Gadol brings a bull because he made a mistake in halacha, he sprinkles 11. When the whole community does a mistake based on the Sanhedrin, they also bring parallel davar and they sprinkle 11. Pigel, bein b'rishayna, bein b'shniya, bein b'shlishis. Check this out, beautiful thing. What's rishayna? What's shniya? Rishayna is referring to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So if he did a pigel on an entire set of Kodesh HaKadoshim, or he did an entire set of pigel in the second one, which is by the Paroiches, or by the third one, which is by the Mizbech Hazav, remember pigel the Chayim of Karas. You don't need all 43. It's enough to do by one set, by the first, second, or third. No, you need all this Rikas Adam, all 43. When you have the bad kavanah during all 43, then you're over. The Gemara asks, you're telling me, you see, Mefurish, that if you did, how come we don't say that if he mefago by the first, his machshava should go and continue on to all of them? You see, you don't say that. This is still machlokes. If he did, even if he did the first one, we still have a machlokes. According to Rav, if he did pigul by the first, it automatically continues to the second and third. This shouldn't be machlokes. Chacham should agree that it's pigul. You tell me, maybe he's talking about two different kohanim. Kohen number one did it by the first, Kohen number two did it by the second. So you can't combine the machshav of the second Kohen Gadol, who did the zrikas by the second, with the first. That's okay if Kohen Gadol number two could continue where Kohen Gadol number one left off. But there's a mandama that says that if Kohen Gadol number one, let's say, dies, and we bring another Kohen Gadol in, he cannot continue from the Shniya and continue onward. He has to start from Rishayna. So once again, we're left at square one, that one Kohen is doing all the blood work. I like that, blood work. All the blood avodas. It's blood work, okay? And we can't say there's another mind over here, because there's only one mind. The Kohen Gadol has to start from the beginning. He has to start all over. We're talking about you know, when you have a machshav in the beginning, we take that thought and we go throughout the whole thing. I should take this off for share. Hold on. Thank you. I have a little bit of a cut from a scissors, but it's not a big deal. I just don't want it to pop open. It's not a little teeny boo-boo, but it's annoying on camera. You see this? I forgot to change the band-aid. I call upon him. Mark, give me a sign that you're alive, that you're not in the ear, that, something just moved over there. Okay. I want to finish before he actually takes off. I don't know if that's going to be possible. Says Rabba beautifully. What are we discussing? We're discussing when a person has a thought, that we carry the thought over to his next action. That's if he didn't do an opposite action in between. If he had a thought, and then there was parav, so that thought continues going through the parav. But if he has a thought that's negdi, it's an opposing thought, he's showing that he doesn't want the original thought, then we have to stop his thought. So what happened was, let's go back to this, he had a thought by the Rishayna in the beginning, he had a thought by the last one, but by the middle one he didn't have the bad thought. So the fact that he didn't have the thought in the middle one, he was shoisik, he was quiet, he had a good thought. That means he didn't want that thought in that place, and therefore it stops the thought process. You can't say he was mefagel from beginning to the end, because in the middle he did something opposing that thought. problem with that is it doesn't say anywhere that he was quiet or that he had a good thought. That's the Gemara's question. If in fact a person does, based on his first thought, why would he reiterate and say, oh, I want to be mfagal on the third one? He should have thought in the first one and let it roll second and third. From the fact that he reiterated and said, I want to be mfagal on the third, that means to me that he didn't want to do it in the second. Where does it mention any word like you're getting up? You said a nice pshat, but it doesn't say it in the words. It doesn't say that he was quiet in the second one. It doesn't say anything. I'll use your logic, but let me reorganize it. Let me reorganize it. I like it. I don't know if I ever used that lashon and shir. There's only lashonis in this basement. New organization. Instead of doing 1 and 3, and the middle one is quiet, and that we had a problem with, let's do 1 and 2, he had a bad thought, and 3, no thought. That fits into the words. But it also shows me that he didn't want to have the thought on the third one, and therefore it uproots this whole thought. Because if he wanted to have the thought in the third one, then he wouldn't have thought it in the second one. He would have thought it in the first, and then I would just roll it second and third. Why would he have a thought on the first and the second, and then stop, and not have it on the third? Obviously, he's showing me something. He was shoisik, or you're not gorish. If in fact a person goes with the first machshava, why would he rethink it and be mefagel in the second one? Daf Zayin Omed Beis. The Gemara just asks, "V'bein bein katani." It doesn't fit in so well what you're saying because it seems like he did it. He had this machshava only in one of the three because it says bein this, and bein that. In other words, he had one machshava of chutz l'zmanoi, not two. You're saying he had a machshava in the first and the second. So why did it say bein bein? Kashya. It's a really good kashya. Before I forget, this is going to be shown hopefully Tuesday morning. I should be on a plane on the way to Eretz Yisrael, landing late afternoon, and Be'ezer Hashem will be giving a shir. I hope I'll have koiches Tuesday night, 9:00 p.m. in Hebrew, and then Wednesday morning in English. But Tuesday of Parshas B'Shalach is the famous Parshas Haman. Some people say they don't know how to read it, so they say Haman. So they say, oh, so you have to do also Parshas Amalek. No. It's Haman. Not Haman, Haman. It's the Parsha of the Man. It's a big zgula for Parnasa, etc., etc. So just reminding the Olam. When it says Kashya, so I mentioned this a number of times, I don't know when, but somebody once wrote a bomb question to the Rogachover. He said, I can't go weiter, I can't go on in Shas. When I have such a big question, please answer me. So the Rogachover answered him, he said, look in Taisus in this Masechta and look in Taisus that Masechta. So the guy opens up, he looks at the Taisus, he can't figure it out. What does it have to do with this question? It has zero to do with this question. So he sends another letter to the Rogachover and he gets back in a reply. He says, Taisus also had a bomb kasha. Look, this question. And what happened? Nothing. He continued. There's another Taisus right afterwards. So sometimes when you have a kasha, from a kasha start finished, okay. Oh, and when you say from a kasha start finished, then you have to go the whole thing with lava, and you see that there was a kasha, and we did kill somebody because of the kasha. Okay, fine. Omar Mar. We learned that Rameir says you can do pigul, Barishayna, Bashnia, Bashlishis. You don't have to do all the bloods. You can do one set of blood. Be mefagal by one set of blood. Oh, no, hold on. Let me do the sponsors. Turning of the Daf, Adar Global, your one-stop shop for all financial needs. Isaac Castle, in honor of all the MDY Dafers in South Florida, we all should be zoicha to be mitzliach, beruchnius, ubegashmius. Anonymous, in memory of Moshe ben Peretz, first yard side, Kof Zayin, Shvat. Mark, what's going on? Did you have to turn off your computer? Did they say, sir, no laptops? Don't know. Okay. Send me a text message, something. So I know that we're still going. It looks like we're still going, and either way. Okay. So if you have a thought by the Rishayna, Shniya, Shlishis, let's see it again. Yoshi did the whole thing. Pigol. Oh, this one, yeah, I got it. It could have helped me for the other sugya. He's Mefagel, and he was Shoisik, and he was Mefagel. 11, he did 11 Zrikas, and then Shoisik. Okay, fine. Well, Panim. Remeir says if you're just Mefagel in the first one, that's enough. You don't have to do all three. Michti Karis, question. How do you get Karis? How do you do Pigel? You have to finish the whole process. We said many times in Zvachim also, you have to do the Zrika. It's not enough to do Pigel by the Shchita, you have to finish up. The Kabbalah Saddam, the Ilacha, the Zrika. Over here also by a Mincha, you have to do the Kmitza, you have to do the Kabbalah's Kli, you have to do the Ilacha, you have to do the Aktara. The question is, if he is Mefagel by Rishayna, let's use Mefagel on the right side of the screen, by Rishayna. So you can use the Proiches as a simon. What happened? He broke it. He ruined the whole blood. What happens to the blood after you ruin it? Check this out. Yoshi did beautiful together with Yossi Shachar. He's doing the Zrikas, and all of a sudden in the middle he thinks himself that he's not going to do it today. He's not going to eat it today. He's going to do it tomorrow. He moves over. He's going tomorrow. Beautiful. This is Yossi Shachar. But Yoshi added, it turns into, since he's Mefagel, it's literally like he's doing water, not blood. He ruined the blood. He made the blood into water. It's beautiful. That's the Lashon of the Gemara. And Memelo what? Everything he did after the Rishayna is like he did water. And we said you have to finish everything. You have to do it complete. Just like when you do something when it's kosher, it's good. You have to finish it out. You have to follow through, do everything. And so too, when you do a pigol, you have to follow through. You have to do everything. Once you had a machshava of no good, of making a puzzle, you made all the blood puzzle. So when you do the sprinkling, where it says on the chart, shniya, it's as if you're sprinkling water, you're sprinkling shtusim, you're sprinkling nothing. The blood has no halacha anymore. There's no gedusha to the blood. You ruined it. That's Rashi. Wait a minute. So every time you do pigol, you have the same problem. Once you do pigol, you ruined it. You can't continue. The Rashi, typically when you do pigol, you're doing pigol on a whole maisa, of shchita, a whole maisa of zrika, whatever it is. Over here, it's such a prolonged action that if you do pigol in the middle, as the Gemara, you ruin the second part of it. And that's basically Rashi's question is a little bit of what the Gemara is answering. Says Rava, you're right. I'm sorry, Rabba. If you used one blood, one blood from one cow throughout the whole process, you ruined it in the beginning. The blood is no good. The blood is water. What we're talking about, where the blood spilled. You had to start over. You had to get another cow and shacht another cow. So now, this fresh blood, so to speak, the blood that became puzzled through your machshav of pigol is no longer here. It's brand new blood. Rav Omar, no, I don't have to say tchak that he brought another cow in here. It's the original one. Lefagule miratzi. That's exactly how pigol works. The Torah says, "Yimafagol." Yes, you made it puzzle for other things, but not puzzle for the pigol. And for the pigol, if you continue sprinkling the blood, you're over in pigol. But that's how you do it. Now, I'm just going to get into the technical here. So, as I explained before, there's 43 bloods on Yom Kippur. As the Gemara Bar Mishalosh, Tanya Bar Misheva. We have a different number. How does this number work? Right? I was at one of the Shebrachas of my niece last night. So my brother-in-law, Manal in the yeshiva in Atlanta, Bavi Catch, he was saying a whole gematria that Meira, Freida, Stefansky, or Bronstein, whatever the gematria is the same gematria as this pasuk of Pnima, or this pasuk, that pasuk. So somebody screamed out, I think my brother, it doesn't match. It's not the right gematria. Obviously it was, but just for the joke, I guess. So over here also, we're saying it's 43. Wait a minute. The number doesn't match up. It's 47. So it says, if you have to, so the way it works is we have two korbanos. We have the goat and we have the bull. So the question is, all the way at the end, when you sprinkle the blood on the Mizbeach HaKtoros, the Mizbeach HaZav, Mizbeach HaPnimi, it's called all three of those. That's the Mizbeach that you put the Ktoros on every day. So you put the blood on. Did you take two cups, cup A and cup B, and mix the two, the blood of the bull together with the blood of the goat, and then sprinkle with that? So now you're missing four sprinkles because you did 4 from this one cup, but it's really the blood of the. But if you're using 2 cups and you do it 4 from cup A and 4 from cup B, so now we just added another 4. So 43 plus 4 is 47. This question is whether you mix the bloods or not. What about? I think in the Hebrew I missed this whole line. We said there's somebody that says this 48, not 47. Like Asher. This is Shiraim, if I can find it. Where do we have Shiraim? Oh, Shiraim. When you have leftover blood, the fact that you have to pour it into the drain, is it chiyuv? Is it part of the avodah? Or it's not part of the avodah? So if it's part of the avodah, then it's another one. It's 48. I'm just going to say this now in Hebrew because I'm pretty sure I missed this line in the Hebrew one. Iboilu. Pigel bohilocha mao. So as you remember, we said that if the pigul happens at the end when you put these two on the mizbeach, the koimet and the levoin on the mizbeach, you have to be mefagel in both of them, or you can be mefagel b'chatzi matter in one of them. And we said if it applies to the kmitza all the way in the beginning, you don't need it. There is no second one. There is no levoina by kmitza. Kmitza only applies to the flour. So over there, if I think about during the flour process of doing this, I think I'm going to eat this mincha tomorrow. It's pigul. What about when you're walking with the flour? Do I need to think about the levina also, or only the flour is okay? On the one hand, I don't really need hoilacha. Why? There's a way to get out of it. Or, no, I'm doing something that's good for the levina. I need to bring the levina to the mizbeach. Here, look what I can do. I don't need to walk. I can pass it from one kohen to the other. That's for Zrikas Adam, but the same thing applies for Mincha. Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Hoylacha Kmitza. The Hoylacha is just like Kmitza. It's done by itself. You don't need the Levina. You could do a pure pigul just by thinking about the flour. No, just like Baktar, you have to do both the Levina and the flour. So too by Hoylacha. As the Gemara Bishlam, Rish Lakish makes a lot of sense. Rish Lakish, since you have to do the same process for the levina, so now there's 2 materium now. You have to walk the flour, you have to walk the levina. Oh, he showed me that it was just on. That was 10 minutes ago. Okay, got it. What's the reasoning that Rabbi Yochanan says I don't have to consider the levina at all, and I could have a machshav of pigul just by the flour? Omarova, because Rabbi Yochanan kol avoida sheina materes, avoida chashuvi lefagel oleo b'fnei atzmo. Says Rabbi Yochanan, an unbelievable insight. When do I need to do the whole matir according to Chachamim? When it's a matir. When it's something that allows me to eat something, allows me to do something. By putting the kmitza onto the mizbeach, I'm allowed to eat the shirayim. I need to put the levina also on the mizbeach in order to eat the shirayim. So it's a matir. When it's an insignificant avodah, it's not matter anything. It's just an important avodah, like hoilacha, walking with the kmitza. Then since it's not matter anything, then that itself is the entire thing. We're looking at a complete thing, and therefore, that entire avodah, that avodah chashuva, that important avodah, you could be mefagel. It's almost counterintuitive. Because it's so weak and not matir, that then it contains within itself the entire process. When I'm being matir, this shirayim to be eaten, well, I got to consider everything that's involved. What's involved? These two guys, the kmitza and the levina. Okay, so then I have to be mefagel in both. But when I'm talking about just moving the kmitza from point A to point B, it doesn't allow me to do anything. It's not helping me to eat something. It's not allowing me to throw the blood on the mizbeach. So what is it doing? Nothing. Well, it's an important thing. I can't put the kmitza on the mizbeach if I don't get there. So it's an important avodah. Oh, within that avodah, I can be mefagel. So what are we saying? That anything that's not a matir, I can be mefagel within it. So by shchita also, I should be able to do that. Why? Shchita is not a matter. It doesn't allow me to do anything. Though yesterday we used the zah lashon that it is a matter. So says the Gemara. Let's see it in just one more time inside. It's beautiful. Because over Rabbi Yochanan says Rava, kol avoida sheina materes. If it doesn't include a heter to do something, to eat something, avoida chashuvahi is considered an important avoida. And therefore I can do pigul on its own. Says Abaye, shechting one out of the two lambs on Shavuos. One. It doesn't accomplish anything. Shechting. Shchita doesn't do anything. Zrika, throwing the blood, is what allows me to eat the two breads, not shechting. When I shech the shlom, I'm allowed to eat the two breads, no? It's the final step of throwing the blood on the mizbeach. Then I'm allowed to eat the two breads. Nevertheless, upligi, how come Chacham over there say that if I'm a fagel during the shchita, it's not enough, it's not a good pigul? According to Rabbi Yochanan, it should be good pigul. Why? Because it's only avodah chashuva. It's not a matir. When it's avodah chashuva, you could do pigul. The snatch that we had in the beginning of Shir, you shechted one sheep in order to eat two chalos. I showed you the picture, the new video of the kind grabbing one spoon instead of two spoons. Say that it's not a pigul. According to you, Rabbi Yochanan, it should be a pigul. Why? Because it's not a matir. It's only avodah chashuva. It's not true. You think the breads have inherent kedusha on their own? No, they became kaddish. How? It's through shechting. So now shechting is a sort of a matter. Shechting creates kedusha. Rabbi Yochanan just invented a third step. You have something that's matter. It allows me to eat the bread, and when I think I have to do the entire matter, 100% of it. So if the matter includes two items like levina and a kmitza, I have to have my machshava, the pigul, on both. Then he said, well, you can do also pigul and something else, something that's avodah chashuva, not a matter. And now he's saying, well, you can do pigul if it's something that creates gedusha for something, like the breads. How do they get the gedusha on Shavuos? Through the shchita. For that, I have to do the entire matir, the entire thing. I have to do both shchita. So interesting. Mark Ashkenazi is airborne, but he's still seeing the shear. I guess until you hit a certain altitude, maybe then the Wi-Fi will kick in. I don't know. Either way, I'll control it here. Bezrat Hashem. What's this? You see, if he was there, he'd tell me this is in the way. This is not good. Okay, taking it out of the way. There's a pillow right over here, but it's okay. We'll leave it. I will say this. I have a moment here. I'll pause. I'm very, very happy and excited for my brother and sister-in-law and my niece, Meira. I got to know the chassan and the mishpacha. It happens to be that the chassan's grandfather, Rabbi Yosef Fruchtaler, was my Rebbe in Chaim Berlin. Geshmaki Yid, a real fiery Yid. And the chassan is a big Talmid Chacham, a lamdan, a great learner, a great guy, a Yerushalayim. So there was Zoicha. The mamash Zoicha, Elio Bronstein, should continue steiging away and bringing nachas to your parents, and now to my brother and my sister-in-law, bring them nachas, Bezer Hashem, and should have a wonderful, wonderful life. Zokti Gemara, Omalei, Misavris. Where are we? Oh, Misavris, Lachem Etana Kodosh. You think just by baking the bread it gets kedusha? Shchitas kvasa mikat shalei, naya chiddush, something that we didn't know until now. By shechting these sheep, that's what gives the kedusha to the bread. V'habole kaddish, kibola hatir domi. And when you make kaddish something, so you're right. The shchita is not a matter. Doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish. It does accomplish, says the Gemara. It accomplishes kedusha. And when it accomplishes kedusha for the bread, you have to do the entire thing. You have to do both sheep. You have to shech. It's not enough. One. We have a beautiful halacha here. The halacha is that when the kohen shechs the korban pesach, he cannot have in mind that he's shechting for someone that doesn't have a bris. It has to be for somebody that's gemalt, a mole. Here's a whole line of people.
Whoever wants to eat the korban pesach at the Shabbat house has to sign up
Shabbat
in
house.
advance.
Shabbat house. So now he's thinking about people that have milah, and then he's thinking about people that don't have a milah. We're going to divide it. Shchita is, you have to shech 2 simonim. Wow. That I didn't see before.
For this food, we had to register in advance?
Oy vavoy.
What happened? You look shaken.
By the shechting of the korban pesach, I rushed myself and I was thinking on the shem of the Arielim. Oy, what did I do?
So, every shchita consists of severing 2 pipes, the trachea and the esophagus, the kon and the veshet. So the Gemara understands that when he was doing before is a little clear. Oh, here. When he shechted, when he he sliced through the kana, he was thinking about the Jews, not the Jews, the ones that have milah. And when he was doing the veshet, he was thinking about those who don't have milah. It's hard to depict it, but it could be a frum yid that doesn't have a milah because his brothers died during the bris, so they weren't allowed to do a bris for him because it's too risky. So he could be mamish a frum yid, but he doesn't have a milah. But look how nice he did the kana and the veshet. But if he thought about the Ariel first and then the mulim second, then it's no good. So it says, let's see inside. Higdim mulim la'arelim kosher. If he thought about this case, he thought about those who have a milah first on the first siman when he was cutting the kana. Kosher. Higdim arelim mulim. But if he did the arelim first, Pasul. They're arguing in a situation of cutting through one pipe. Now, cutting through one pipe is a half of an avodah chashuva. Shechting is not a matter, but first of all, by Korban Pesach, it doesn't allow you to eat breads. There's no bread, there's no kedusha in a bread. But l'maisa, at the end of the day, he only did half for the mulah. What do you think he was doing? Do you think that you're allowed to just go ahead and throw blood on a mizbeach? The blood has to have kedusha, just like we said a second ago that the breads have no kedusha until you shech the two shlamim. So too, the blood in any animal that you shech doesn't have any kedusha until you use a knife. If you use a very sharp ceramic blade, zero kedusha. If you use a stone, no kedusha. Even though you can use a stone, let's say for milah, not for shchita. Why? Because the metal blade, you might be able to use a stone in a shlachtais in your backyard, but not in the Beis Hamikdash when you want to create the kedusha to the blood. And since you're creating kedusha to the blood, now you have to use both simanim. You have to do both of the things that are matter. You have to use, and not just one, as the Gemara questioned before. And since creating kedusha in the blood only through the knife, are you allowed to do zrikas adam? So therefore, it's like a matter. And a matter, we say you have to do 100% of the matter according to Chachamim, not 50%. Tashma, b'amed dvar mamurim b'kmitzo v'matan kli b'hiluch. So it says, when can you create a pigul when you do hoylacha? One of the things is hoylacha. My lav hiluch daktara. L'chayra, you're talking about walking it to the mizbeach, and that would be a question on Rish Lakish who said that no, when it comes to walking it, there is no pigul. Lo hiluch damatan kli. The reason we're not talking about walking to the mizbeach, rather you're walking to the closet to get the second vessel. You did kmitza in a large vessel, and now you're walking to the closet to get the second vessel to put the kmitza in. There is no such avoida by a levina. And anytime there's no avoida like that by the levina, the levina is not required. When do you need both? When it applies to both, like haktara, putting on the mizbeach applies both to the kmitza, both to the levina. What do you put on the mizbeach? Both of these. What do you put in the kli? Only this, only the flour, and therefore you could do pigul on only flour in that case. But if you're walking towards the mizbeach, like we thought, you need to walk the levina also the mizbeach. So you'd have to have thought of both the flour and the levina. That's why the Gemara says we're not talking about walking the mizbeach. You're walking to the closet to get the kli, which only applies to flour. But the wording doesn't make sense. Why did it say that he put the kli and then he walked? No, he walked to get the kli. First comes hiluch, then matan kli mebayil. You're right. Let's flip it around. It says that he came to do the aktorah. Wait a minute. There's two things that you need to do, both the frankincense and the flour. It's not just the aktorah at the end, number 4. But number 3 as well. So how come number 3 is not mentioned? The halacha part. Avodah number 3 of walking. Why do you walk it? You walk it to put it on the mizbeach. So the main thing is the aktara. So walking it to the mizbeach is called aktara. We call number 4. We call number 3 number 4, which is the main part. Why does it say? But there's no mention at all of the halacha. It should be mentioned, well, at least when we say that when he put the kmitza on the mizbeach and he didn't think about it, he didn't think about the bad thought, it should be mentioned over there. Says the Gemara, you should at least mention the halacha over there, because halacha you need both machshavas. To be mifag, you need levina and the flour. Kasha, indeed, that is a kasha. Let's see if Mark knows how to shut this off from the plane. Boisai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.